I'd like to call the Capital Projects and Equipment Committee to order. Roll has been taken. They change it to agenda, Judy?
There is none.
Yeah, I'm looking for a motion.
So moved.
Second. Motion made by Mr. Barrington, second by Mr. Dorsey to adopt the agenda. Any other questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next is to Judy, the 2024 capital equipment project purchases.
Again, thank you. I have the new one.
The spreadsheet?
Perfect. So because I changed that number in the last meeting, I also had to change it here and here. I did it in red because I already had yellow on here. So there's two actual changes to this capital. Let me stand back or step back. This is our 24 capital program. And what's on this list is what over here is what we approved in December when we came together in December. So that is what you see on here right now is these are not recommendations over here. The recommendations, I should have highlighted that in yellow, are highlighted in yellow. And these are actual approvals that we did last in December of 2023. Then, so we had 500,000 from our 2023 budget that we earmarked for capital. We spent at that December meeting, 494,000 of that, leaving us with $5,300. And we talked about, okay, once we take a look at the 23 budget, we'll get back together after finance. And we'll decide and take a look at and see what we can do to get some dollars into this program and then move forward with some approvals. We did get together again as a group. And even though tonight we have Robert and Ginger at the meeting for approvals, everyone who wanted to be was invited into that meeting. We want everyone to feel comfortable that this is a working document, and if they want to add something, they want to say something about something that's on the list, every department head has that opportunity. So it's not like they've never seen this. And they're like, oh, I didn't know that we were going to have a meeting and we were going to approve capital projects tonight. And I wish I would have added something. Everyone had the opportunity. They knew that meeting was happening. So with that being said, these were the yellow items that are highlighted on here are the items that we're talking about prioritizing tonight for approval. Again, that's up to you. We will go through them. Robert and Ginger are here to talk about any of these items. Any questions you have about those items, if you don't approve them, that's entirely up to you. Again, we prioritize they prioritize for their department and would like to see these things approved so they can move forward. But again, it's all up for discussion and changes in any manner of which this committee decides to do. I also have Robert here tonight with the cemetery. So we did talk about the trees that were happening, that big project that's going on at the cemetery. So if anybody has any questions about that, please go ahead and ask Robert. He was Rob. He was nice enough to show up. What's your name? He was nice enough to show up tonight in case there was any questions. So in the meeting prior, we decided that we were going to and approve that we would add $275,000 to this capital projects program for 2024. That left or added in, and we now have $280,000. When I took a look at this after the fact, we had a dump truck from last year that we said we were going to half fund last year and half fund this year. I caught that. So that's what you're seeing up here. That dump truck had to come out of these dollars before we started any approvals tonight. Apologize for not looking at that last time we were together. That would have been the first thing that we looked at subtracting from there. So that left $137,850 for items on this list. So think how we'll move forward is I think I'll open it up to questions. Oh, and the other thing I did do before I move forward is this bleacher upgrades here. It was 10,000. That was increased to 20. Each bleacher, and you got, the estimates actually while we were in that meeting was 10,000. So we had to double it in order to replace the 2 bleachers that she's looking for. So if that is approved, is actually $20,000 for those bleachers. Also gonna tell you in advance that obviously I calculate things, because that's what I do. And it's like, okay, so what is this gonna look like if all the items that are highlighted get approved? Well, when we were having our discussions, my recommendation and suggestion is this one in particular right here. There are some big DNR dollars available for. My suggestion would be to approve this to be paid for out of assigned fund boat launch dollars, because that's what they're for. Go into the negative and then pay it back. We've done this before. It's been past practice. We want to move forward on a project and utilize these dollars so they're not just sitting there. People are paying their boat launch fees and they like to see things getting done. We have some great things being done over at that boat launch. And to add some parking, I think would be a great, moving forward within those boat launch areas. But again, entirely up to you. So that these dollars, the 155.5, and right now this is all estimates. I mean, there's a lot of DNR, Ginger's saying there's a lot of money, grant dollars available out there right now for this. So if we can get this approved and move forward, who knows, what those dollars will look like. And she'll try to get as much as she can. Maybe it won't be 50-50, maybe it'll be 80-20. So she's gonna try to get moving forward on what those grant dollars will look like, and then we'll update the committee as we go along. And obviously then we wouldn't have to dig into that boat launch fund so much. So with that being said, I would open it up to the committee. If there's any questions you have, if there's any item that's highlighted that you're like, okay, what is this? If there's something on there that's not being approved tonight, that you're like, oh, I'd really like to take a look at that. Or an explanation of that, and that's why they're here, so that we can ask questions and have a conversation about what are we gonna approve moving forward, if anything at all, tonight. But I'm gonna say that the sooner you get these things moving forward, the easier it is, and then my list doesn't get longer from year to year.
What is
So.
small equipment?
We have that, we also have his memo attached, there it is.
Oh, good.
So I did,
Yep,
Robert, you're on.
this memo
and
missed
yeah.
the attachment, so
My fault.
that's 11,350. I had 5,000 designated towards barricades. I definitely wanna purchase some folding advanced warning signs to make it easier for the crews to put those signs out, take them down a lot quicker. The 2-foot class 2s that we have right now are some are in fair shape, some are in rough shape. I'm more interested in reflectivity of them. If we have open patches when we start this asphalt patching program, I want high visibility or high intensity prismatic on sheeting on these barricades, plus working barricade lights. Several of our 8-foot class 3s, so that's the 8-footers with the 3 boards across. A lot of those boards and reflectivity that are on those are in pretty rough shape, so I want to bring them more up to speed, get lights on those as well. And then the plastic arcades, those are fairly expensive, so I'm not looking at getting a lot, but it's a lot easier to zone off areas, and they're really easy to move and they're high vis. So, I went with 5,000. It could be a lot higher than that, so we'll go into it slow this year and get the bare essentials. And then the plate compactor 1800. We currently have a plate compactor. It's not in the worst shape. but it is not set up for asphalt. We looked into buying a water tank for it, and they have retrofit kits that you can get for them, but all the reviews on them kind of show that because it is a piece of equipment that vibrates all the time, the tanks come loose. It's more of a struggle, so I don't want them to resort back to just throwing water onto a hot patch, and by the time you compact it, it's already cold. So that's the means for the plate compactor. The welder, that's the shop welder. It's currently not working. They've fixed it in the past. Now the feed wheel for the wire feed has broken, so we're kind of with our hands tied. It's to the point where it's a lot better if we just purchase a welder versus sticking money constantly into the old one. The trailer for the painter, the current trailer is pretty much on its last leg. This wouldn't be a large trailer by any means. It's a 5x8 with higher sides. The one they have right now, they kind of have to have a two-person system to load it because it doesn't always want to stay attached when they're loading it. So it's that bad and in need of replacement. That's Luke kind of looked around for trailers and found a decent one for around 1900. And the cordless power tool kit 750. It's a simple all-in-one pack, multiple batteries, things like reciprocating saws, a grinder, skill saw. They have some of this equipment right now, but it's mostly like a cordless drill and things like that. They usually borrow stuff from TED or facilities to try to get out. I'd rather have their equipment set up like we had that knockdown post that they had to grind off because it was sticking up out of the snowbank. They're running around trying to find that angle grinder so they could get out there and take care of it. And a simple kit like this would set them up for a good long time to be self-sufficient on the street side and parks as well.
Yeah, they really shouldn't have to be searching for a tool. Should be readily available, so they can do their job.
Can we talk a little bit more about the overflow parking? It says including River Trail resurfacing, total project cost is 427,000.
Sure.
Um,
So that project, the trail between the Waters and John's Bait Shop is in very poor condition. So we would be resurfacing that. And then to include the parking lot that I proposed at the committee level, and then, the pier that would go to be the overflow pickup spot. As Judy mentioned, there's not only recreational boating funding available through the Wisconsin DNR, but also trail funding. So we can kind of double dip in that sense with adding that trail into that project as well. I also have plans to connect that trail into Hatton Park eventually. So coming across the street from John's to the street garage and going along X and going into Hatton Park that way. So
I guess the question I had is, so you're asking for 155,500, but the total cost is 427,000?
So
correct.
what I did,
That's-
so
Okay.
I took the 427 and I subtract, if you look over on the side, I subtract, so I took it in half and said, okay, the DNR will get grant funding for half. And then subtracted the current dollar amount that's in the boat launch. And then what was left was 155, because my first thought process is we were gonna use capital money for this. Well, then, as I'm thinking about it, and then trying to stretch dollars and all those other kind of things, or just looking at the project and saying, we have money for that, and that's what it's supposed to be used for. We shouldn't be using our capital dollars. So that's why I originally came up with that dollar amount. I know, it does look odd. Chad asked me some
Right.
questions. He's like,
Yeah.
where the heck did you come up with
Yeah.
that dollar? But
Sorry.
if you do take the divide it by half and subtract the boat launch funds, that's what you get, 155.5. Now, another thing we talked about is if there's trails involved at all, we do have some trail funds, so maybe a little bit of it comes out of the trail dollars too, so that then it's not, alleviates a little bit of pressure out of that boat launch fund. So,
So by approving it tonight, you're gonna spend no more than 155. It's probably gonna be less, right?
Right.
Because you might get a bigger grant or
Correct.
different areas.
what I would suggest you do is approve the project at 427 in anticipation of a grant that will be written to cover at least half of it, and the rest come out of assigned fund balance of the boat launch. So you're not constantly, unless you want to constantly talk about it. But I think that that would be the best motion to give Ginger some leeway into moving forward is, okay, we agree that we want to get this project done. We agree that if we get 50% funding at least from somewhere,
Yeah.
that we're gonna take the rest out of that assigned fund balance, maybe a little bit out of trails, and then go in the hole in that account and then pay it back.
So with that being said, and including the minutes from this meeting, that would all be presented to the DNR to show that we have that plan in place before we can even apply for the grant. So we would need that approval to move forward with the applications.
Do you happen to know about how much we get from the boat launch a year?
18,000.
Yep.
About 20,000.
Would be on your revenue sheet, so.
And to clean that up, you're only spending the money if you get grant funding.
Correct.
You're not doing the project.
This
Right.
is just to be able to apply for those grants, and if we don't get the grants, then we can't spend the money.
So you put that in the minutes. If we don't get at least 50%,
Right,
or whatever you guys
right.
want that to look like.
And then the other thing is that new Blackmore Trail, another 63,000 for engineering. I feel like we're dumping a lot of money into this walking trail. I just don't,
That's another one that will be eligible for grant funding.
The construction.
We have already received 20% grant funding for that,
Oh,
through the Wapaka County Greenways Commission, and I have had conversations from Outagamie and Fox Cities Greenways Commission where this would be a potential as well, so.
I feel like we already hit a brick wall by the DNR saying we can't put one there. Now we're
We
gonna put
actually have not.
another.
We have had confirmation from the DNR that that is definitely would be an approved site. We haven't applied for the permits yet, but we've met on site with the waterways and floodways directors, and they have said it's definitely a site that would be approved.
That information at that time came from the engineers that worked with FEMA, but then we sat down directly with DNR and talked about the project, and they're like, yeah, this is something we can work out, so.
The waterways director said this is a rubber stamp. No questions. I mean, that's all, nothing in paper or an actual permit applied for, but
So I mean, this is 63,000 just to engineer it, and then we're gonna talk another 200,000 to build it. It just,
grant funding. The state has a lot of money right now, that they wanna put into silent sports like this. And then also the motorized vehicle sports, which would be in our case only snowmobile. So there's a lot of funding available from federal and state government for this project. And I have every intention of finding every way to squeeze it out of them. I'm meeting with East Central Wisconsin Planning Commission next week to make sure that that is a project that we can move forward with.
Didn't the Snow Wheel Club say they were gonna help with that bridge or be interested?
They're interested. There are actually a couple different clubs in the community that are interested in funding it.
I didn't even pay for it all, I just been interested.
I had to get letters of support from area businesses to apply for the Greenways Fund. I had 5 different downtown businesses that gave letters to the Greenway Commission saying that they had the support for this, so. I think that's something important to note, that, you know, this isn't just a, something that we want, it's something that the community wants as well.
I'm gonna assume that the bleacher updates, you got 4 more that you have to do within the next couple of years, cause they're not ADA accessible at all.
Correct, yeah, they're $10,000 a pop, it's hard to replace 6 at a time, so, yeah.
Would they be wood bleachers or?
No, they're
Oh,
stainless
got
steel,
it.
yep, yep, with the backs and their 2-level railings, so that they're exactly like the ones in Memorial Park.
What are we doing at Pfeiffer Park all day? Suppose I'd ask, I don't know.
So $5,445 would be potentially implemented into a rotating improvement plan for the ball diamonds, with the most utilized ones being the dump sites themselves. There are many sinkholes that show up, also poor soil quality, making the turf growth unfavorable. So this would allow to continue to restore those grounds and improve play on the fields for the future. All of this work is for materials, all the work would be done in-house. As part of that project, we need to install an ADA sidewalk to the playground to complete that project, making the installed project compliant with ADA standards. So that's for that one.
My last question is that zoning ordinance, every year we're spending another 25,000, another 50,000, another, is it? I mean, what is this? It's just like,
You wanna talk about it,
Yep.
Shady?
I can definitely talk about that. So the original budget that we have approved was for $50,000. After we brought in both the 2 consultants and did the interviews, and the planning commission talked about which route they wanted to go. In the end, between the 2 proposals, the planning commission is recommending that council hire Vanderwall and Associates for the zoning code rewrite. Their proposal was $75,000. So to proceed with that recommendation from the planning commission, we would have to find the additional $25,000 to get up to the $75,000. That was the recommendation that came from the planning commission.
thank you.
Mhm.
I forgot about that.
Ginger, you want to talk about this one?
Sure. So that was a 2021 bid, for the Chevy Silverado garbage truck, replacement. We had 34,000 quoted to us in 2021, and we'll be getting a 2023 vehicle, I believe it is. We got it, in January, so it's been sitting out at Plock, and we've been unable to pay for it, because we do need approval to have that, $13,000 or $13,519 to be spent. So the prices just went up in that time with inflation, so unfortunately, we were in that period where there was just in crazy influx in vehicle prices. And that was a victim of that.
And unfortunately, it's one of those things that like New London Utilities is dealing with that too. You make an order,
Yeah,
quote that you get, don't count on it.
No.
Yeah.
You'll find out
Yeah.
the final price when you receive it, so.
right.
which
So
is
we
crazy.
ordered that, I believe, in January or February of 22 and just got it.
And if we don't pay it, somebody else will.
They'll just turn around and sell it to somebody else.
Right.
unfortunately.
But our truck is in dire need of repair, if you've seen it. Or replacement, not repair. And repair and replace.
Any other questions for Judy?
Does anybody want to hear about the cemetery stump grinding project? Have you heard enough
No.
from me?
We just talked about that, didn't we?
11
Right.
stumps?
They're big ones.
Yeah.
Monsters.
That's cheap for 11 stumps.
So you want me to go through these one by one?
Yes, sir.
Each stump.
Please.
And I will ask, and I will ask for the motion, right? Am I looking for a second or am I looking for the motion?
You're looking for a motion.
All right, the first one highlighted is the barricades and small equipment. I'm looking for a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Dorsey, second by Mr. Besaw to approve barricades and small equipment for $11,350. Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's carried. Next one is looking for motion for the 2022 Chevy Silverado garbage truck.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion made by Mayor Herder and seconded by Ms. Croy for the approval of 2022 Chevy Silverado garbage truck. $34,000 approved. The adjusted cost is $13,519. Any further questions? All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? It's also carried.
We get a running total of what we got and what we got left.
Chad's got it to the right, I do believe.
Are you doing it, Chad?
So if I put them in here, is it gonna take it off the top? Oh, yep, maybe I'll just.
We got what, 126 fine to spend?
So I will do the 13,500.
Thank you.
That changed, didn't it?
The 112
The
is.
112
changed.
changed.
Yeah, right.
We bid for a 22.
Next would be looking for motion for the engineering of the Flatmore Trail Bridge.
I'll make a motion to approve the engineering for Newton Blackmore Trail Bridge.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Verche, seconded by Mr. Besaw to recommend a council engineering for Newton Blackmore Trail Bridge. Total of $63,300.
No.
No.
Well, I was gonna say that we received 20% or no?
50,640.
I didn't know if I wanted me to
Because you
improve
did
that.
get
Okay,
Yep.
I'll amend that to saying it's a total of 50,640. Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Motion carried. One no. Next, I'm looking for a motion for the development of overflow parking and pier at the old city garage site.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion made by Mr. Ritchie, seconded by Mayor Herder for the development of the overflow parking and pier at old city garage site, including river trail resurfacing. Total project cost of $427,000.
And then want to put the stipulation that 50, oh, yeah.
So we'll put the stipulation in there. This is if we receive the 50-50 grant, we'll proceed.
And then we talk about taking it out of assigned fund balance. So those dollars for that project would be taken out of assigned fund balance and then paid back over time.
Any other discussion?
Can we have that read back? What the motion is?
I'll do the motion over again. Motion made by Mr. Ritchie, seconded by Mayor Herder for the engineering of the Newton Blackmore Trail Bridge. No, my bad. Development of the overflow parking and pier at Old City Garage site, including river trail resurfacing, total project cost of $427,000, providing we get the 50-50 grant Any-
Using assigned
using the sign fund.
funds.
boat launch funds to bridge the gap.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Was a tongue twister there. Next, did the bleacher updates for Pfeiffer?
Time out, Judy, are we over now?
Yeah, I don't think you can put that 155 in. there,
Right,
Chad.
that one doesn't come out of
Oh.
That's a
so
no.
I'm not putting that in.
that comes out of a signed fund balance, yeah.
Got it. That's what I'm.
Yeah.
Way over.
He's like, "What?"
I'm like, wait a minute. Time out.
Looking for motion for the bleacher upgrades?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Besaw, or Mr. Dorsey, seconded by Mr. Besaw. To recommend bleacher upgrades of Pfeiffer. Two of them, 5 row at 19 foot for a total of 20,000. Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Next one is looking for motion to recommend the Pfeiffer Park Ball Diamond renovations.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Barrington, second by Mr. Rashay to recommend the council Pfeiffer Park Ball Diamond renovations for $7,000. Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next, I'm looking for a motion for the zoning ordinance rewrite.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Motion made by Mr. Dorsey, seconded by Mr. Ritchie. For the zoning ordinance rewrite addition to 50,000 from 2023 for a total of 25,000.
50,000 from 23 and additional 25,000.
Yep.
Total 7.
Total of 75. Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Last one is looking for a motion for the stump grinding.
Make that motion.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Besaw, seconded by Ms. Croy. To recommend stump grinding, 11 stumps plus cleanup for $6,000. Any other discussion?
Want to bring that point up?
Yeah, on that Silverado garbage truck, you said that was a 23, right?
Correct.
That you're getting?
Yep.
Then it should be changed on that chart, because that says a 22.
The 22 was what was bid out, so I don't know, and then we got a 2023. I don't know how you wanna have that documented. But, yeah. Perfect.
Any other discussion on the stump grinding? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. And that's it for that. Schedule next meeting if necessary, Judy.
Yep, we'll wait to see, if we do one, if I can call one after the finance meeting again, but for now, nothing on the schedule.
Okay, last would be looking for motion for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion made by Mr. Roberts, second by Mr. Barrington for adjournment. Any other questions?